Hello and welcome to another edition of BCR Webcasting. I'm joined today by Kevin Day, who's Chief Executive Officer of Lendscape. And Kevin, you've welcome to BCR Webcasting. And there's been, I think a lot of people know, some exciting news from Lendscape in the last couple of weeks. You've had a big investment from Bowmark Capital. And I'm very keen to hear from you what that is going to mean for Lendscape's future. So tell me, in your own words, what do you see as changes taking place in the future for Lendscape? What sort of new opportunities will be opening up as a result of this investment from Bowmark?
Yeah, no, Michael, thanks for inviting me on to this little session. Yeah, no, it's been to go back a stage, I suppose. I mean, the first thing is we've obviously been through a process, and you learn a lot about a business going through this, even though I've worked for this company for many, many years. And I think it was very interesting to see, obviously, a number of investors looking at our business very carefully and what we'd achieved so far and what we'd plan to achieve going forward. I'm very lucky. I work with a very strong management team, with a very strong um, um, group of employees behind us. And the fundamental thing that any investor's looking at is the people. And we've got a great team. And I think the Bowmark looked at this business and thought, yes, these people have got a good team, got a good plan. We'd like to help them on their mission. So the mission's not changed. And that's obviously, world domination for all forms of secured lending. Um, and on our sort of 50-year journey so far, we've obviously had a sort of steady growth. Going forward, as you know, we've already built an asset finance solution to broaden our product range. Now that's early days, but what we want to do is really to grow out that whole new vertical opportunity. Um, the receivables finance side of our business and the supply chain finance part of the business, that's still very strong, but we see lots of growth potential there. We already have the software implemented in over 45 countries, but we're looking at the world, looking at the total market and the growth in the market generally, we see there's being huge opportunities, particularly in North America, in Asia, and in Africa. I mean, Africa today is very small in terms of the actual total value of receivables finance, but we do see there lots of growth opportunities down the line. Yeah, so really, it's having this kind of backing is really it's like becoming a little bit turbocharged as a business. You've
So
got
yeah, so Bowmark have obviously seen this as a great opportunity for them, and a company that they can invest in and put capital into. And obviously are expecting some significant growth from you over the next few years. So where do you think you will be as a result of this investment? Where do you think you'll be in 3 to 5 years' time? Do they expect you to be a dominant player, a more dominant player in the market? Do
yeah, I
they
mean,
expect
yeah,
this to open up new doors for you, attract new types of business, maybe new types of clients, clients that may not be so familiar with landscape as, let's say, banks and FIs are in Europe, maybe further afield in Asia and beyond in other continents? Is that what they're expecting, do you think?
yeah. I mean, as I said before, the business has a plan, and the plan has always been to. I think the market's changed slightly as well. I mean, let's take for example the larger banks. Large banks tended to be historically very much in-house developed systems, um, on-prem, you know, in their own data centers. What we're seeing in the world generally now is that it's very, very rare that you would see even a very large bank looking to actually build out their own technology. Those days I think are behind us. The old debates about build versus buy, I think, have really moved on. The other big change, of course, is cloud, and so everybody now is looking to very much change their technology to be much more cloud orientated, cloud based. And that's again, I think, opening up opportunities for companies like ours. So yes, no, the vision is very much about growth, um, attracting probably larger financial institutions as customers, um, but also, as I said before, to move the business into much more of a product-led business. And that means to be a product-led, it means that it needs a lot of investment in terms of the products themselves, but also actually building out new product offerings and extending the overall range of technology that we can actually provide to the market. And we're still going to be very much focused on the financial sector. And we're still also going to have very much in our mind that we're not a single country provider. We are going for global market share.
And as part of that growth and development plan, could that also mean acquisitions?
It's something. I mean, again, before this happened, we never considered acquisitions seriously. We did buy a company in the US in 2015, but that was an opportunistic purchase, I think, at that time. But going forward, we could obviously see an opportunity to acquire, not to acquire just in terms of adding another business to our business, but actually where that addition, adds more strength and depth to what we're able to do as an overall provider. So there could be things, for example, that sit very comfortably alongside our current technology offering that we can actually bring in to provide a much more sort of complementary technology to what we already have. So I think lots of
Create some
opportunities.
synergies, presumably.
Yeah, synergies. Yeah, exactly. So I think it's going to be interesting times ahead because it's something again that's quite new to us.
And you've been approached many times, I think, in the past, from private equity firms and venture capital firms. What was it about Bowmark that really, made it the one that you wanted to work with?
Great question. And I think the one thing that struck me with Bowmark, I mean, private equity is kind of like a sort of short-term thing in many ways. It's a sort of a 3 to 5 year, sort of transition period, and then obviously move on to another PE house, or perhaps you go into public markets, whatever. But what I really liked about the people from Bowmark was that every decision that we take is not for the 3 to 5 years. It's for the next 10, 15, 20 years. So I think for me, just to see through sort of those artificial lines that perhaps are often created by private equity, but to see beyond that and to know, therefore, whatever we're doing, nothing is short term, everything is long term. Everything is very much for the good of our people and the good of our customers going forward.
Okay. So it sounds to me like exciting times ahead for Lendscape. And we will look forward to seeing how the landscape for Lendscape will be changing yeah, in the coming years.
Absolutely. Yeah, watch this space. There'll be lots happening.
All right. Kevin Day, Chief Executive of Lendscape. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Michael.